Okay, if there are no doubts, and just confirm please in the chat, like every one of you have your R Studio ready. Okay, good, great. Georgie said which data we'll be using. So Georgie, first of all, we really for statistics, like as of today's lecture, you don't need to use any data, and even if there is a need to use any data, we will be using the inbuilt data sets. There are multiples of them in R. I mean, it can be big data, industrial data, biological data, chemistry data, every type of data is there. So you don't need to upload your metrics. But tomorrow, yes, you will be using the external data, which I will basically create, and that I will share with you as a .csv so that you can use it there. But as of today, because many of you really don't know about how to use R, like the real detail, and otherwise it will be having you guys will be facing a lot of problems subsequently. So I really prefer, in case you guys basically learn R from the basics so that you can do your assignments, because tomorrow also I will be giving you your first assignment, so that's why I need to get hands on with you. Okay, I hope if this is clear. So this is a very wonderful, book. I will share with you the PDF of that, which talks about, doing applied statistics with R. So the book tells you about, I mean, only practical applications. So we will be using this book, which has around 500 pages, around 457 to be accurate. You can see on my screen. And this book we need to cover within the next 4 classes. And practically, am I right? There are multiple things you don't really need to do, but there are also certain things. So if you create a very well commented script, so that script alone will help you. I mean, because you can make your own script, that script really will help you to move forward. Okay, and in case in future if you want to basically recall how to do practically the statistical analysis using R, you just need to go through with your script. So whatever the script you write today, please do the commenting. You know that how to comment it. Put a hash in front of the code, and that you can write the comment over there. Now let's move a little bit more forward. So this is all the abstract. So I just don't want to go into detail. So I mean, yeah, I mean, so one of the things, I mean, when you basically use R, you can basically do all sort of normal calculations. I mean, is there is a need to record this video, because anyways you are doing practicals. Can I record it? Okay, I can.
Yes, sir.
Okay, wait, it's starting. So let it start. Yeah, it got started. So guys, I mean, this is the book we will be following, and from the last, in the next, 4 classes, which means today, tomorrow, and in the next week as well, we need to finish it off so that we can.
Excuse
Yes,
me, sir.
Naman.
Sir, tomorrow we don't have any class. Like tomorrow there is no scheduled
Really,
class. Yeah.
I have to check my calendar. Wait, quickly. So why there is no class tomorrow?
Like tomorrow they don't, like they haven't scheduled any classes for us.
Okay, I will check it, man. I really didn't know. But anyways, then we will shift to the next week. Okay. Thanks, Naman, for bringing this out. Yes, Umar, do you want to say something?
I'm just checking it. Actually, it is, I think, as per original plan, there is no class tomorrow, but I think the invite which we are having, I'm just checking it right now.
No, no, the invite is basically sent it by me. So I normally thought it's on Saturday and Sunday. So I just sent the invite. So that I will modify it just to avoid confusions. Okay,
Okay.
Uma?
As per program schedule, I think there are no classes. As per original plan, there were no classes. There are no
Okay.
classes.
Then I think there is no class tomorrow. So I will change it. Thanks, Naman, for pointing this out, and Uma. So let's without wasting time get your hands on your laptop. So just wanted to go very quickly. I mean, with the R. So this book I will be sharing with you. I think the magnification is fine. You guys can see. So for instance, I mean, there are certain, simple. I mean, just going with the basics with and trying to cover it in the next 20 minutes. And please, whenever I show some code, just quickly type in. Am I right? In your R. So I mean, you can save any variable in this notion. Like you can assign a, and by assigning, what I mean is you can put is equal to in R Studio. So those of you who really know how to use R Studio, at least on the left hand side, you can see there is a script panel will be there. So in that script panel, you can basically type your code if you are using R Studio. And even if you are using normal R by terminal, please just use as it is. You can write it on a notepad, copy it and paste it. Okay. So now what I want to say is, for instance, you have a value of A, value of B, and you know the relationship between them, which is a square of individual values, and you just sum them up. You can get the value of C square. Okay. Now, you can get the value of C by taking the under root. So all these operations, normal simple operations, you can really do it very fast. This is just a simple example. Am I right? Now you can really make this convention very fast, even if it is a complex algebraic formula or anything, by using R. For instance, you can assign the value of A is equal to 3, B is equal to 4, or whatsoever the values. Now you know that the C is nothing but it is square root, and the square root, the inbuilt function what R basically takes, it's same as that of Excel SQRT, which is A square 2 plus B square 2. And please print the outline. Can you guys please quickly type in? It just take 30 seconds. And please tell me, because in the class there will be some people who will be having issues with R Studio because they are not from the IT or the computer science background. So please just stop me if you have any issues. Let us resolve them. And once it is done, please just let me know. I will just give for each and every codes. I will just give. Okay, done. Anu, theek. I will just give not more than 2 minutes. Okay. Okay, I think majority of you have already done, so it's very straightforward. Those who have not done, just raise your hand so that I can give another 30 seconds. So the answer comes 5, and you can replace the value of A and B to anything. You can always save this function, so it always returns you the value of C square. Okay, now, so this is pretty much very simple. You can do it in R. So now in order to understand what all are the different types of, wait, somebody else. Okay, Mrinal, please unmute. Mrinal, do you want to say something? Mrinal, we are waiting for you. Do you want to say something?
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, Asta.
Yes, so will you be sharing this PDF book with us?
First, I will share after the
Sir.
entire class,
Yes, sir.
because I don't want
Sir,
this.
yes, sir.
Yeah, Mrinal, बताइए.
Yes, sir. Sir, I wrote the same code, but answer is not coming as 5.
How come? Can you share your screen, please? Let me stop my screen. Can you please share your screen?
Sir, I wrote the same code, but answer is not coming 5, sir. No answer.
Yes, I want to. Mrinal, I understood. I want to see your screen. Could you please share your screen?
Sir, I wrote. Oh, okay, sir. 1 second.
Because
Yes,
I mean, we need to debug, na. I mean, if you cannot, if there are issues with a simple code.
Yes, sir. Yes, I'm sharing. Sir.
Okay, I give you the sharing rights. So please share your screen. Mrinal, please do it faster. Otherwise, we are killing the time of others.
Yes, sir.
And in between, I think there are some
I'm
people
doing
who
so.
had, yeah, no problem. You can take your time. Asta and Anushka, you guys have any questions for me, please?
No, sir, nothing else from my side.
Okay, and there was one more hand. Yeah, yeah,
So,
Anusha.
no, sir, actually, by mistake, the hand was raised. Sorry.
Okay, no problem.
I've done the execution.
Sir, is
Okay.
it visible?
No, I can't see your
So my
screen.
screen is visible now, sir.
No, I can't. It's not visible, Mirinal.
I shared.
You have to click on, I mean, the moment you click on present now, you need to click on your entire screen or tab. Do it on entire
Yes, sir.
screen.
Yes, sir.
Just
Yes, sir. I did
refresh.
that, sir.
Just do it again, please, one time. Stop it, start it again.
Okay, sir.
I assume for rest all of the others, there are no issues.
Sir, it's not coming present, sir. Give me the permission.
No, it's presenting. Just wait. Mrinal is coming. But you have the permission, man. Mrinal is presenting, but I can only see a very
Yes,
whitish. Mrinal, why can't you just log out and log it again and then share?
Okay, sir.
But are you working on R Studio or you are working on Google Colab?
So R Studio I'm working.
Okay.
So now you can now you can see my screen, sir.
No. If anybody else can see, please let me know. At least I cannot see.
No, sir, we can't see.
Mrinal, I suggest you
Sir,
to.
move ahead, sir.
No. We can't move ahead if even a single student cannot. I mean, we are as a team working together. So just we don't get into this, just log out from this class, log in again. It will work, Mrinal. Sign out,
Okay, sir.
sign it again very quickly. Okay. Guys, I'm extremely sorry for the delay, but let him come. Let him join. Amal Raj, are you also coding, by the way? Amal Raj, are you there? Can you hear me? Okay. Mrinal has been gone now. What happened? Anyways, guys, I mean, we can just move ahead. If he comes, we will solve this. Okay. So, so R is a programming language. Everybody knows that. And it is really one of the best language to do statistical computing. I mean, some of you have sent me an email by saying, sir, I am very good at Python and I would like to stick myself to Python. I mean, I think many of you also would have been this dilemma. But the point is, I can tell you, I mean, my lab, I myself work both on Python as well as in R. But to be honest, when I have to do the graphical analysis, when I have to do statistical analysis, plot some beautiful graphs, even the complex and, not the simple ones, even the complex ones, then in that particular case, I always basically prefer R. R gives you a very nice output. So that is one of the reasons why, the R programming language can basically be better, especially for the statistical computing, because there are multiple inbuilt packages. You will see, I will introduce you, at least for the statistical part. So the counterpart in Python can be done. I'm not saying it cannot be done, but it makes your life much easier if you use basically R. So anyways, as I already told you, you need a IDE for R, and the R Studio is one of the best IDE available so far in the market. I mean, majority of the people use that, and you actually also need a R. So when you install R Studio, before that you need to install RBase. So RBase, when it is installed, in any operating system, Mac, Linux, and then you can go to IDE. Now, this is all the things. Now, I have already told you, whenever you use simple calculator, you can also basically use R to do simple operations. You can do additions, subtractions, multiplications, and divisions. In R, the notions are still same. So you can see this is the mathematical operations on the left side. You can take any two values, and now you have already done that. A square
I
plus
think
b.
you need
Yeah.
to share the screen.
Oh, my screen was not. Oh, sorry, man. Wait. Thanks, Uma, for. Oh, sorry. Thanks, Uma, for pointing this out. Okay. Yeah, so it's there. So you can do, thanks, Uma. So you can do the basic mathematical operations, addition, subtraction, multiplication, divisions by using mathematics. The same you can do it with R as well. I mean, the same, the notions, the plus is plus, minus is minus, multiplication is this star asterisk, and then division is this slash. So you can do that. That's a simple mathematical operations you can do, okay? Now, R also helps with exponents. For instance, you can do the square root of something. It's this notion. So 3 to the power 2. You can also basically do the negative of the power. You can also do the power with the 1/2 and also calculate the square root. Just remember, the notion. So this is really important. So all these exponents you can easily do very fast calculations by using R, and even you can do a complex calculation as well. We will see how slowly we basically go forward. Now, there are some mathematical constants. I mean, for example, pi and e. So all these things, the values already been understood by R. So the pi, you write it like this. The R understands pi by pi, small p, small I. And this e expression is exp, and then you put it in the bracket, and then it gives you the value of exponent. Okay. So that is also mathematical constants are also being taken by R very nicely. You can calculate the log. For example, you have a matrix, you have a data frame, you have any complex matrix, and you have a vector. You just need to basically convert into a logarithmic scale. You can basically do it very fast. For example, you write log to the base natural e. So you just log e to the base natural e. You can basically take log exponent bracket 1. Now you can calculate, the log of 1000 to the base 10. So this is how you write log 10. So the base will come always like this in the R notion, and then you basically write it what log basically you want to do. Log 8 to the base 2, it is written as log 2 bracket 8, and log 4, log 4 16. So you can also mention the base. So both the notions you can try. For example, if you are calculating this upper one in R, you can write log. You can write 8 comma base is equal to, you can define the base separately. So please, guys, now on your screen, please calculate the log to the base 10 of 1024. And please paste the answer in the chat. Log, I can write it in the chat. Log of 1024 to the base e, 2 and 10. So you need to paste me 3 answers. So I need the log of 1024 when its base is the natural e, when its base is 2, and when its base is 10. Please, guys. Thanks, Ambit. No, I mean, this is the code. I mean, I think, yeah, you can also paste. I mean, yeah, the code is nice. So the alternative way, Sambit has written the code entirely. So the alternative will be, you can also define the, the base. So this is a very short form of writing it, but you can also define the other way around, because when you write it in your RStudio, you will recognize that it will give you the another notion where it will ask you to basically assign the base every time. Yeah. So Urvi has done nicely. So Urvi has done the other way around. She has every time. So she basically did something which RStudio told her to do. She has, because RStudio by default it asks you to write the code, log code like this. So every time you need to, it prompts you to explain the base. Okay, guys, I think we cannot spend much time on these small things. It's good. We move forward. So let's see. I hope everybody is making a proper commenting R script. I need that script, guys, on the Google Classroom. That will be evaluated. Please write it down. Okay.
Sir,
And
I was
also-
looking at the assignment which you have created. I can only paste text there. I cannot attach a file, it seems. I don't know if any.
Where in the Google Classroom?
Yeah.
Okay, in that particular case, you can just paste the entire script on the class in
Okay.
that text. If that is the problem, I will change it again. Not a problem. These things are in our hands. Thanks, Uma, for pointing it out. Govind, I think you should also mention the code, underlined code, what you have written, okay? So don't give the output alone. Okay, great. Let's move a little bit more forward, guys. Keep it with you. Anyways, your script will be checked later. So you can, I mean, in R, you can also perform very naturally and very fast the trigonometry operations. For example, somebody's mic is on. Uma, could you please mute it?
Sorry.
So I have some doubt.
Yes, Anusha, sorry.
It's okay, sir. So when I'm doing log exponential 1024, why it is showing INF? I mean, what is this?
Infinite, I guess. Yeah.
Is that correct?
No, you have to show me where is your code. Where
I
you
have
have
pasted on there.
Anusha. Okay. So, no. You have made the exponential. You have given the value of 1024. That is wrong.
Oh,
So whatever you are calculating is you have defined the exponential value of 1024. What you need to calculate the log of 1024 to the base exponential. Am I right?
yes.
You understood, Anusha?
Yes, I got it. EXP in the bracket 1.
Yes.
And yeah. Okay,
So that is so you calculated the exponential of 1024.
Yes.
Okay. Without
Thank you, sir.
yeah, no problem. Mrinal wants to say something. Mrinal, are you back? Mrinal. Man. Mrinal.
Sir,
Do you
sir, can you go slide up?
here? Yeah.
Can you go up? Can you go, sir, up, sir? I can't, sir. So last code, sir, I selected entire code and then run, sir, I got the answer, sir.
So now it's working in your game? Is it working or it is not working?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Please do that. I need
So
to see.
working, sir.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. So guys, let's move a little bit more forward. You can also do similarly the trigonometric things. You have the value of pi, which is already known. Sine pi by 2 is like sin, pi by 2, it gives you the results. Cos 0, it also gives you the values. So R understand all these basic operations. Either it can be exponential, logarithmic, it can be exponent, and it can be trigonometric. Everything it understands by default. Some of the operations you should really know. SQRT is for the square root, AXB for the exponent, LOG is for the log, and SIN and CUS is for the trigonometric operations. And you will be doing this a lot of times downstream. Somebody's mic is on. Please mute it. I think it's Mrinal. Please mute yourself. Now, let us move a little bit more forward. Sometimes you have, sometimes you don't really get it. Like some of the things you don't really understand, and you basically want to know, like, you don't recall how the R understands. So just please put a question mark sign in front of whatever. For example, you need to make a heat map, and you literally don't know what is the underlying code for heat map. In that particular case, just write heat map and put question mark in front of it. RStudio will open on the right side. It will open up the entire packages, entire inbuilt functions, how to make the heat map. So this question mark is really a help function, which basically gives you an understanding if you don't get anything. So you don't need to all the time do the Google and try to basically find out how we can do that. For example, you want to convert your matrix into a logarithmic matrix, just put question mark and write log. It will give you all the different packages, different inbuilt functions, everything. Just try it by yourself very quickly. Let us say you want to calculate log. So in your RStudio, simply type log and then question mark log. And if you basically do that, it will basically explains you in detail how each of the things can be done. Everything it explains very nicely. Am I right? So that is the beauty of RStudio itself. You can basically, it also happens in normal R. So that is the functionality which R provides you. So you don't need to go back and forth in Google. Just type the name, whatever you have problems, heat map, volcano plot. You can basically look for Kolmogorov-Smirnov test, t-test. Let us say you want to do t-test. Just write question mark t-test. It will give you everything, how to calculate the t-test. So that is also one of the very quick thing basically R basically provides you. Now, installing packages, R has basically multiple of inbuilt packages to do multiple of operations, to have different packages for plotting your data, for doing special type of statistics. For example, if you want to compare the non-parametric test, if you want to do parametric test, different types of that, you already have all these inbuilt functions, but for some of them you basically don't have that. So in that particular case, you can basically install the packages. So there will always be a dedicated package for doing some of the complex operations in R, and which is ready to use. Now the point is how to install these packages. If you are using RStudio, simply write install.packages. As I said you before, in R is, a difference between R and Python, which really makes me happy towards R than Python, because first of all, I am a big fan of R. Now, the second of all, the point is, R, you don't, indentations and all these other errors, you don't get it in R. It's just like writing something in your native English language, am I right? Install packages. So instead of space, you just put dot. Install packages, put a bracket and write the package names. And if you have multiple packages, just write this, in commas, put a, another comma and then write it again. The other package, third package, fourth package, this can install all the packages. But you need to combine them. And I will tell you, I don't want to basically, distract you, but I will tell you how to combine different packages as well. So just guys, install one of the packages, this ggplot2 on your system, because we will be using ggplot2 for the plotting functions. So please install ggplot2 by using install.packages and then this code. And just to remember, there are, whenever you want to install something, don't forget this double quotes at the, both sides. If you don't put that, I am afraid it will not work. Are you guys doing? So we have 30 seconds to do that. So please do that.
So what about single quotes?
Single quote, whenever you write install.packages, normally, it comes automatically, the bracket. You can try single. I never tried it, man, to be honest. Let me try it very fast. I also have my RStudio on. Install.packages, and then I just put single quote ggplot2. Yeah, it works in single quote as well. So you don't need to worry about. But the quotes needs to be there as far as I can recall, because for the library function, when you want to import this particular package, you don't need to do anything else. You just need to basically write the library, put a bracket and write the name of ggplot2. But whenever you need to install that, sometimes it really creates a lot of buzz, especially for the beginners, those who are not from the, background. So, those who are using their RStudio for the first time now, so ggplot2 will really take some amount of time, but keep it running, not a problem. We will be using that. So I hope this package should be installed, and once it is installed, you will see at the bottom, package is installed. But if it gives you an error, it also explains you where the problem has been happened, why it is not getting installed. And everything will be, mentioned over there. Now, you can always install any packages in R. I mean, the one way to find the package is also this question mark. For example, you want to make some plotting. If you would have written heat map, question mark heat map, it will direct you to the ggplot2. And it also basically gives you the packages, because sometimes there are, hundreds and thousands of packages in R for doing statistical analysis, descriptive, graphical, and all these sort of analysis. Now, a human being cannot recall all these particular, for example, I have to do Friedman test. So when I want to do Friedman test, I basically don't know which package basically do Friedman test. So I just put question mark Friedman, and it will basically give me the name of packages, and the way you install it, it's the same. Install.packages and write that package name which you get it from the studio. That will work like charm. Okay. Now this is how you basically, once you install the package, for instance, in my case, it's still running the ggplot2, because yesterday for this course, I have reflushed my RStudio because I need to exactly, face all the installation problems as you guys face or maybe facing. And just simply put library to recall that package every time you restart R. So it basically forgets about the packages which has been installed. You need to bring them to the RAM, to the working IDE. So you always need to put library and then the package name. But if sometimes you forget, like whether I have ggplot2 on this system or not, you will always try to do install.packages, and it will always say it is already there. Now, if you do library ggplot2, and in case ggplot2 is already not there in your system, it will basically tells you no package found, you need to install. So in that particular case, you really need to go back and install with the help of install.packages. That is very simple. And I hope anybody has any doubt, they can ask me now. Otherwise, I am moving forward. Okay. Yeah, please.
Import, right? Library, and then this mentioning package in the,
exactly. It's an import function in Python. Like you say, import MATLAB and all that, Cbon. So in the same way, we have the function called library. So you can say library and write the package name, Uma. Is it correct? Is it fine? You understood?
Yeah. Just I wanted to understand. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Mrinal has a question. Naman has a question. Please ask.
So, sir, my question is that in this library function, so here also, like if we have installed multiple packages in a single statement, so in the library function also we can mention all those packages.
Yes, but there is a command called, there is an inbuilt function called C. C stands for combine. So you need to combine them all and do the library. You can operate any function by combining the individual packages. So that I will tell you now.
Sir, I write, sir, install that package, sir.
It's worked. Mrinal, does it work? मृणाल कहाँ चले गए? Mrinal, are you there? Okay. We will. हाँ मृणाल, तुम कहाँ चले जाते हो यार?
Yes, sir. Sir, no, sir. It's written error. Hello, sir.
Please share your screen.
I'm audible.
You are audible, Mrinal. Please share your screen.
Sir, I don't know, sir. It's voice lagging or something like that, sir. Can't help it, sir. Okay, sir.
Mrinal, please share your screen. I gave you the sharing rights. Please share your screen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm doing that.
Yes, Diptarshi, please.
So actually, I tried the install packages, but I think there is something wrong, because after that, when I wrote library and then ggplot2, it is showing that error, no such package as ggplot2, something like that.
Yeah, so it means it is not installed. Could you please share your screen, Diptarshi?
Yes, I can do that. For sharing, I just present.
So I hope others have already, you guys don't have any issues in installation, because otherwise there will be specialized statistical packages which we will be using. So that will be basically causing a lot of problems for you guys. Yes. Okay. Wait. So you see the warning on the top. Look at your console. Installation of package ggplot2 has non-zero exit status. It means your ggplot2 has not been installed. That's why you don't get. So you always get this error, which you can see at the bottom, because there are some uh, dependency errors. Okay, so you go up a little bit, go up on the right side. No, up. Yeah. So you can see you don't have. No, go up. Go down, man. Go down. This is all fine. Go down. Stop. A little bit up. Yeah. This error. So why this error is coming? Because you don't have dependencies like CLI, Eclipse, lifecycle, vectors are not available for the package filer. So you just basically you just do one thing, just copy this error. I just want to tell you how you basically solve it fast. Wait. Yes, and then just Google it quickly. No, go along with the error. Please go along with the error. Anybody can face these issues. Anybody can get these issues, but I hope you have the latest. But you're working on Windows, am I right? Are there other Windows user also?
Yes, sir. Windows.
Unable to install? Yes, you can click on that. There will be a solution for that. Yeah. Okay, go down. Yes, I think this is the upgrade problem. So you are using, okay. Can you check the version of your R? Okay, you can try this code. Install.packages, just copy. No, go back.
No, they are.
Yeah, just try this one, lower one. This helped a little bit. So install.packages rwest. So this is one of the packages which can basically have, No, you don't need to select. Just wait. Put your cursor in front of it. And press your control key. Keep pressing your control key and press enter. Every time, you don't need to select that.
Okay, sir.
And after this, please try to, once this is done, please try to reinstall ggplot2 and say library this one. And also, so your normal packages are getting installed, I can see. Okay, I think I can share my screen. So Diptarshi, please. No. It also got an error. Wait. Yeah, I think there are some issues related to your old version. So you are using R3.3. Now, at the moment, the R version is, R version. So I think it is 3.6 is available. Am I right?
Okay, sir.
So you are using a very old version of R. So you can always change it. Okay, Diparshi?
Okay, sir.
Please upgrade your R. There is no need to upgrade R Studio, but please upgrade your R because you are using a very old version of R. Okay?
Okay, sir. Okay.
Please stop sharing because I need to.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Great. So guys, let us move faster. Otherwise, we will not able to, finish it off. I hope you can see my screen. Wait. Yeah. Anusha, please.
Sir, after installing library, I mean library ggplot2, will it show any message that it is successfully installed?
It shows done, D-O-N-E, done.
Oh, okay.
Here, I can share my screen. I mean, I have no issues in, but I think the best thing is to share the tab, but I can show you quickly, Anusha. Anusha, can you see my R Studio?
No, sir.
Can you see my R Studio now?
No, sir. It is just written Gaurav Ahuja presentation.
It's visible to me. It was visible.
It's visible, sir.
Okay, so this is something you get it at the bottom. Done ggplot2. This is what you get. Is it clear, Anusha?
After writing library or installing packages.
No. No, after installing the package, after you do library, it shows nothing. So I can just write it here in front of you.
Because it was showing nothing when I wrote.
Yeah, I can just write it. Library ggplot2. It will take 1 second, and then yes, all. So now, if you don't have that package installed, it will give you an error. If there is no error, it means it has imported that library properly. Okay. Is it clear,
Yes, sir.
Anusha?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So let me, okay, let it be in this mode. Okay, guys, without wasting time, so let us start with the data types. Okay, R can take multiple types of data. Okay, it can take the numeric values. It can be, integers. It can be complex values. It can be logical operations, true, false. You can do that, and it can also take characters. So there are multiple types of data types are there in R. R supports, again I am telling you, it is very important because sometimes your matrix also has some characters. Sometimes your matrix also have a column where you have the Boolean, like true false sort of logical operations you need to perform. Sometimes your data also has complex values. Okay, sometimes your data also contains integers as well as the decimals and all that. So all sort of data types. So guys, I mean, I can tell you, majority of the beginners in R, they face issue and they give up R. The point is they don't understand the data types. So this part is now very important. Please stick with me, because otherwise, if you want to do any operations by using any packages, it always gives you a error. Like, this is non-numeric, this is wrong data type and all that. So you really need to understand how you need to structure your input data so that your R operations can be performed nicely. Now, for that, you really need to understand the data structures. So all R basically supports basic data structures. The data structures means how your input data basically looks like. Your input data can be homogeneous. It means all the values in your data are basically the same, and it can be heterogeneous. It means you also have somebody's mic is on. Vivek, do you want to say something or you want to mute yourself? Okay, so you can have a homogeneous data where all the elements of the values are of the same type. You can have a heterogeneous where you have complex. You have a complex numbers, you have characters, you have everything inside. Okay. Now, this is very nicely made graph. Just this single graph, you can basically get the entire essence of what is important in this case. Okay. Now, if you have one-dimensional data, and if it is homogeneous, then it is a vector. Am I right? And if it is a heterogeneous, then it is a list. So the one-dimensional data, if in R, it can be, if it is homogeneous, then we can call it as a vector. If it is a heterogeneous, it is list. Now, you can also import any, numerical metrics. For example, I have some values like the scores basically got in the last 10 years in this class. So that the years will be on the column names, and in between I will have my scores each year, the students. That will be my matrix. Now, if that matrix also have some complex numbers, some characters, some Boolean, logical data, then it becomes a data frame. That is a two-dimensional. And when we talk about 3+ dimensional, it is arrays. So let us see the power of R in dealing with vectors. That makes R really different. Okay, anybody has any questions in that case? If not, let us move a little bit more forward. Okay, now vectors, you really need to understand vectors, because that's one of the most lovely thing in R, and one of the, as it is written, many operations in R makes heavy use of vectors. So you really need to understand vectors. Okay, now the vectors in R are indexed starting at 1. That is very important. This is what the bracket and 1 in the output is indicated. So whenever you make a output, you always gives you like this, no? So that basically indicates it's a vector. Whatever is there as a result, it will be a vector. Okay. Now, the larger vector will start additional rows with the star. So you will see whenever your vector is like 1,000 lines, you cannot print it in a given console. It will basically put first with 1 and the subsequent one with stars. Okay, is the index of the first row, element of the row. Now, this is how you can create a vector. So C is basically used as a combined function. So what is you are basically telling to the R, C 1, 3, 5, 7, 6, 9. So these are all becomes a single vector. So let me show my screen. I think you can see my, can you see my, yeah, you can see my R Studio now. So let me get a new file. Okay, now let me get a new file and let me paste this. So now let me save this operation as A. Okay, and now you can see nicely. So this becomes my vector 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9. So I have stored this particular vector as if, as A. Now you can create another vector. You can basically change the names. Am I right? And now I want to just 1 minute. I want to save this as B. Okay. Now I have both A and B here. Yeah, tell me please. Pushan, please
Sir,
unmute.
the new file is supposed to be a script or notebook.
Which one?
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are
The
audible.
new file that we're supposed to, the new file we are supposed to create is a script or a notebook.
I have only taught you so far about the R script. I have to teach you about R notebook and R markdown. That will also be covered subsequently. But I just need the script
Alright.
as of now. Okay? Otherwise, because if you want to do R notebook or R markdown, there will be some errors, and that I don't want to invest time. We will do that, but once we know the basics. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Great. So I think every one of you exactly do understand how basically to create a simple vector, a simple one-dimensional vector. So now the point is I can just type in A and C. So you can see it starts with 1. Am I right? So that indicates it's a vector. It's a one-dimensional vector which is heavily used in R. Now here R simply outputs this vector. If you would basically assign some values like I did it with A, you can do it with basically X, Y, Z, doesn't matter. But please don't forget this C. That C is basically used as a combined function. Now, somebody wants to say, somebody said, how can I install multiple packages? I think Naman was asking this question. So you can say install.packages, wait. And now you can put a C operation, and then you can write now here multiple packages, ggplot2. Am I right? Now you can also mention about, heat map 3. Now you can also talk about, p heat map and so on. So now you can basically run. And now it says one or more packages will be updated. So I already have the packages. It is asking me, it will update and it needs to restart my R. I don't want that. Okay. So like this with combined function, you can put multiple packages installation. You can do multiple operations together by using this C, small c. That is called the combined function. Okay. Now what are you doing basically here? You are combining each of these elements to make a vector. And that becomes your vector and you store it as X. Okay. Now, the other good thing which we really need to understand, sometimes, you have seen in the past, you have used this, less than minus sign, And now I am telling you to use equal to argument. You can use either of them, but there are no differences as of now. But yes, these two notions are different. Sometimes specifically in R, we don't want to discuss as of now. Now, as I said, you can also combine, you don't need to basically make a vector with the numerical values. You can also basically, create a vector which contains multiple data types. So you have, logicals, you have characters, you have the numeric values. You can also create a vector with this. Am I right? So you can basically combine anything by using R. Please, whatever I am showing you, please do it by yourself. I am showing you the code. Please do the practice by yourself. Don't listen. Please keep working on your keyboard. That's my request. I want each of these codes which I'm showing you, I want in your, after the class, you need to post it. So it's not a theory class. So please, you don't need to exactly copy this. You just do it with your hands. So that only you will able to learn. Okay. Now the point is, sometimes you need to create a very big vector, and in that particular case, you don't need to type it, all things. So you can also use, there are certain operations you can do it by creating the vector itself. Am I right? So one way to create a vector, which I have just taught you, is by using this combined function C, and you can punch in the values, you can punch in the logical operations, you can punch in the characters, and you can make a vector. Now, the other way to create a vector is this colon. You can use this colon, and then basically it says y is equal to 1:100. So it basically creates a vector with the size of 100. Am I right? So let us quickly do that. I will make it to 200. So let us say x is equals to 1:200. Now what is my x? Am I right? So my x is a vector. So it starts with the bracket 1, and it gives me a complete vector of 1 to 200. That is another way to create a vector in R, like this colon operator. Okay, please try it, guys. I really want to see in your script file after the class. Now, this is really important. Note that the scalars do not exist in R. They are simply vectors of length 1. Am I right? Like 2, 3, 5. So there are no scalars values available in R. So there are, just a single value. So it is a vector with the length of 1. Now, there is another way you can basically create a vector, which is not like with the colon, because with the colon you can make a single stretch of vector. With the combined function, you need to punch in the individual values. You can also create a vector by creating a sec command, sec function. So, what it basically used for, it is used to create a sequence that is not limited to integers and increasing by 1 at a time. So it gives you some sort of flexibility. So normally with the, with the colon, you are basically always increasing with a factor of 1. But the sec function basically gives you to create a vector, which basically gives you more flexibility. You can define how many jumps you want to basically do. What should be the range? For instance, look at this wonderful line of code. What sec function basically gives you the power? You can define from, which means what is your starting point. You don't always have to start with 1, or you don't always have to start. You can start with anything. Now you can also decide what is your end value, from, to, and by, how much increment you want in each value. Then you can create another vector which is more complex. Can you please try this sec command on your computer, please?
So what is this by? It's step size or something?
Step size, exactly. Starting from, ending to, by how much time how much jumps it creates between the values. So it is 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. And please don't copy this formula. Just play around with numbers. You start from 10 to 10,000 with a jump of 500 and something like this. Just play around. So now I have taught you the third particular point, how to create vectors in R. We started with the combine function. Then we went to the colon, And then now we are with the sec function. So we have three functions how to create, vectors in R. Okay, I'm just moving forward. Otherwise, we will not able to answer this. Okay. Now, there is a last operation, not last, but I mean, the most commonly used function is the rep function, repeat. Am I right? So there is a rep function which can repeat a single value a number of times. So the rep function can also be used to create a vector with, certain multiples. For example, you can say rep A, you design what you want to repeat and you want to mention times, how many times you want to repeat. So that you can use the rep function, rep A times 10. So it will repeat it 10 times. Am I right? So rep function can be used to repeat a vector some multiple number of times. So now, I mean, you can also do like this. You can assign a vector with the x, which you did just above, and you can repeat x 3 times. So the same vector will be repeated 3 times. So the vector was this one, 1, 2, 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9. Now it is repeated 3 times. So the vector size becomes 3 times that of x. So the ref function is important. The sec function is important, the colon is important, and the combine function is important when you do basically, when you work around with the vectors. Is it clear? Anybody has any doubt, please ask me.
Yes, I have a question about this vectors. Whenever we are printing this in the, square bracket, we have some number 1, 20.
Yes.
If I remember, I think a few minutes back you said that number 1 in square bracket represents that it is a vector. But now if we see it is 19, 37, 50.
No. It starts with number 1. And
Okay.
it basically with every row it gives you the number. But sometimes when your vector size is extremely large, in that particular case, it starts showing you bracket and a asterisk inside. Otherwise, for each row, it gives you the value, and the value always starts with the bracket 1. That designates it's a vector. The starting has to be always like this, with this bracket 1.
Okay. So and what does this number represent? 1 and 20?
Which one? So that is a symbolism of, like, I mean, technically speaking, it could be the row numbers, but technically this, the round bracket 1, that basically signifies that it's a vector. So that's basically in R, whenever we have a complex data, we will see in the subsequent lecture. So, but the point is, sometimes it's very confusing to distinguish between, when we do the subset of a particular matrix, and whether we want to know whether our data is stored as a vector or it is stored as a string list, sorry. And in that particular case, this really helps us to know. So, but I personally think it basically tells you which number is coming here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
It is
13,
the
14, 15, 16, 17,
intents,
18, 19, 20. Yeah. So it's 20th value. Yeah. Where it is broken. Uma.
Okay. That helps. Yeah. Thanks.
Sir,
Yeah.
I think I was making a mistake. I just wanted to.
Dipesh, I can't hear you, buddy.
I was making a mistake earlier. I think I just want to rectify it. I think.
Which mistake?
No, I just wanted to say. Can you open the PDF file? Actually,
Yeah.
it was I was mistakenly writing REQ instead of REP. So there's.
Okay, it's repeat, R-E-P, repeat.
Yeah, I saw documentation.
Okay. Now, just quickly, guys, without waste, because we have not even started the statistical part. Now, so we have 4 different ways to create a vectors, which we see: the combine function, the colon, the sequence function, and the repeat function. Am I right? Now, you can always use them either in isolation, or you can always use them either all together. For instance, this is a very complex, I mean, it looks complex, but let us understand what it's basically doing. So it has a vector x, okay, the c is equal to x. Now, it has a sequence, it creates a sequence, am I right, which is nothing but, it starts with 1, it ends at 9, and it has a difference of 2, am I right? So that is the seq function. Now, it is it has this particular thing sequence. If it is not indicating start, end, and so on, then it's basically is the same values. So the sequence is 192, which is repeated 3 times. So you can see 192 will be repeated 3 times because of this repeat function. Now, and you can see combined, so it will then further combine to 1, 2, 3, and here it will basically gives, and then it will be adding a 42 value here, and then it gives you 2 to 4. Now please guys, just wanted to try one of these. So this 42 is a single vector which is representing here on the right side. So like this, you can create the length of the vector can be obtained by using the length function. So I request you guys to make any complex, don't copy this one, but please try to use C, wrap, seek, and colon all together in one function, and then try to and create a complex vector and calculate its length by using the length function of the vector. Please do that. I just want to quickly run it. I mean, we don't have time literally. I mean, this one. So I just basically save it as, again, A. So just wanted to run it A, and then I want to say the length of A is 2, 2, 2. So this is the overall length of my vector, which I have just created with this. Okay. So that gives you basically the length. Okay. Now, let us again move a little bit more forward, which is again very important part. But before that, I think let us take a water break of 5 minutes, and then we can start. Or maybe, yeah, I mean, we meet at 10 or 10. Anybody has any doubts so far? Guys, any doubts? Anybody is having some issues? Sanjay is there. Sanjay, are you there?
So could you just repeat the last part? What have you just said? In which we are using grep function, sequence function, and everything.
Yeah. So what I was mentioning is, wait, Georgie, could you please mute yourself? Yeah. What I was mentioning is sometimes you can create a vector by combining all of these different ways by you can create a vector. So I have shown you can create a vector with the colon, you can create a vector with the combine function, repeat function, and the sequence. Am I right? So when you use the sequence in that particular case, either you could mention about I mean starting, ending, and the jump. If you are not doing it, you can also write a sequence per se. Now in this particular example, you are basically creating a vector by using all the 4 different types like combine, colon, seek, and wrap. And once you create a complex vector, which is nothing but it is just like type of using each one of them, you can calculate its length by using the length command. So with length and bracket, you can basically calculate what is the size of this vector. That is what I have said. Is it fine?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So guys, anybody has any doubt? Somebody wants to, Mirnal, anybody wants to share their screen? Any doubts? Naman?
No, sir, all good.
All good. Working. Okay. Uma, Diptarshi, Vivek, everything working?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
Great. So let us have a water break till, I mean, it's 10:06 on my screen. So let us do it at, 7 minutes. I will be back, and then we start with this again. Okay. You can also have a water break. Take care. Hi guys, are you back? Please raise your hand so that I can start. Great. So let us start. Let us start again. So let me share my screen. Okay, great. So I hope you can see my screen. So up to now, we have learned how to basically use the complex vector as well. So now we are basically going with subsetting your data. Sometimes you have a very complex data you import in R and you always need to subset. So now I am just basically covering not the matrix subsetting or basically the subsetting of the data frame. I am basically telling you about how to subset a vector. Okay, now suppose in order to subset anything from a vector, you need to put a bracket out of it. You know, this in this brackets. So this you have to use square brackets in order to subset any values, and you can basically manipulate your vector. Doesn't matter what's the size of the vector is. For instance, this is a very simple example. You have created a vector x which were composed of these values, and now I want to know basically what is the first value in my vector. So you can put, you know, in this square brackets 1, it basically returns you the output what is the first value in your vector. Now you can also ask any particular values. For instance, you can ask for the first value, the third value, the fifth value, and so far and so on, and the output what it basically prints you is that particular value. So here is the first value which was 1, the third value was 5th. So it basically gives you output what is the 5th value in your vector. It basically returns you that value. Now you can also eliminate a particular value. Okay, you can exclude that particular index from your vector. For example, in that case you have to use minus sign. So the minus sign designates you want to exclude that. So now if you have a vector x, now you want to, you know, remove the second value. So you can put -2, and then you will see the vector what it basically returns you is the x, but it will not have the second value which was basically your 3. Am I right? It is very straightforward. You can, without minus sign, it basically means the print that particular, you know, index in the vector. The minus sign basically tells you to basically eliminate that particular element in your vector. Okay, now look at this particular thing. Am I right? So this is basically gives you 1, 3, and 5. Okay, now you have a x. Now you can also use the combine function. So in the combined function, so what are you basically trying to achieve here? So with the combined function, you are saying, you know, as a combination, you are basically trying to eliminate multiple values. So when you try to eliminate 1, 3, and 4, it is basically returning you 1, 5, and 7. Okay. Now why it is so? Because you basically will see that the value number, you know, so this is basically the first value, the third value, and the fourth value in x. Now let us see what are our first, second, and fourth value in the vector. So the first value, the fourth value, and the which one was the value? The third value. So 1, 5, and 7. So now what it basically showing is it is basically printing the first value, the third value, and the fourth value in your vector. So it is basically printing that particular values here. Okay. So now can you please have a quick try on your RStudio how to basically do the subsetting? So in the subsetting, please use, you know, the previous operations as well. For example, this column, you can use that, and in order to, you can create a new vector, and you can also try to combine this column as well as this combine function along with the subsetting, which is this square brackets. Please do that. I give you 30 seconds for that. And once it is done, please raise your hand so that I can move forward.
So what we have to do? Sorry, sir, my connection was interrupted.
So you need to subset, you create a vector. You can create a vector now, you know, 4 different ways. You create any vector. Please use the square brackets and try to basically print any value from the vector, which is 7th value, 8th value, doesn't matter. The second operation you need to do is you basically eliminate one of the value and print the vector again with the minus sign. Now the third operation you need to use is to use the combine function, which is with the C, and print multiple values out of a given vector. The first value, 10th value, 15th value, and then. So you need to basically use these operations.
Okay.
Please do that, Anusha. I give you another 10 seconds.
Okay, sir.
Okay, I think let's move forward. I assume you guys have already subset your vectors, and now you can see how each and everything is linked. So you can use the combine function, repeat function, and every one of these functions you can use it even for subsetting and all the downstream operations. That's why I wanted to introduce you guys to this. Okay, now let us say you have a vector which is saved as Z, and it has these logical operations, true, true, false, false, true, 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 true. And when you print that, it basically gives you all the values. Am I right? Now, what are you basically trying to do? You are basically trying to eliminate this Z. A vector is eliminating from a vector. So now you are basically trying to eliminate Z, with the help of Z, you are basically applying the logical operations on that. Okay. So now if you can see here nicely, so this is another vector Z. So you say the first value true, true. This value is false. Again, true, true, and false. So you are eliminating, you are applying a logical operation on your previous vector X. So now the size of the vector Z and the size of the vector X, both are same. So it basically, you print Z, it basically shows you Z. Now what you are doing is, you are basically removing all false values which are designating in a vector Z out of X, and it basically returns you the 4 true values, which is the first, second, fourth, and fifth value. You can also apply these functions by using R. Please try this very fast.
If the number
So
of
both the vectors, both the vectors need to be of the same length.
Yes, the dimensions of the vectors needs to be same if you want to apply this function.
I also had the same question, so it's already answered now.
Yeah. Otherwise, it will get confused, or it will basically try to give you on the starting from the first side. I mean, you can try both. I mean, also, I never did that because these are just for teaching purposes. So in real world, you don't encounter such problems. So please do that. Anyone, please try make 2 different vectors. One logical vector, which basically put one value extra and less or extra. And in the other case, you basically take the vector X as a normal. So just try to see and also tell me how basically it gonna function. Okay. Another 30 seconds, guys.
Sir, very sorry to disturb in between. Actually, I joined in late due to some emergencies. I see here like there's an assignment given. Can you please like tell little bit about it, what to do and when to submit it?
The assignment is nothing but what I am teaching in the class. I have requested every one of them to use RStudio because in my last class I told you install RStudio because there was a huge request from you guys to do hands-on, and I cannot do hands-on statistics if you don't understand the basics of R. So today class was intent to show you guys how to basically do basic operations in R so that you can understand the applied statistics by using R.
Okay, so we will be just uploading this what you are teaching on RStudio.
Exactly, the code. Exactly.
So I can do it on Colab also, right? I am like
no, I have no problems. If you are using R environment in Colab, it's fine.
Okay, thanks a lot, sir.
I hope
sir, it is if I use like one less element in the Z vector, it shows the last 2 elements also. True for them.
Okay, so it assumes them as true. Okay. Anu wants to say something. Thanks, Ira. Okay, so let's move a little bit more forward, guys. Otherwise, the basics won't be covered. So let's look for the vectorization. So one of the biggest strength of R is to use of vectorized operations. Okay, you can now, so up to now we have learned how to basically create a vector by 4 different means and how to manipulate a existing vector by multiple methods. You can combine, the wrap command, combine command, repeat command, combine command, colon, and so far and so on. Now we have to apply certain operations by using the vectors. So this is really important. Now if you don't understand this particular concept, I can assure you, for instance, when you have to calculate the correlation between the two vectors, or you want to calculate the cosine similarity or Tanimoto coefficients, in that particular case, you are basically applying a function by, you are doing operations on the vectors. You will not able to understand that correctly if you don't understand how to create a vector, how to subset a vector, and how to apply these operations on these vectors. So let us understand how to apply operations on the vectors. Okay. Now, let us say you have a vector 1 to 10, which is very fast. You can just quickly type in 1 is to 1 into 10. You can do it through 100. And now you want to add each one, one value you have to increase each of the individual values in this X vector. So you can say X plus 1. So now what will basically happen? Each of your value will be increased by 1. So it is, the earlier it was 1. So now the new one will become 2, 3, 4. So there is a shift of 1. You can also perform the multiplication operations. You multiply your vector by any numeric value. You can also make each of the value the power of something. You can also calculate the square root of each of the individual values in your vector. And you can also convert your entire vector on a logarithmic scale by using the log command. Okay. And, yeah, so this is all the operations. Just try very fast, please, guys. I just go zoom out a little bit. Yeah, please apply all these operations. You create a vector and please apply operations on the vector, the basic operations, multiplication, division, calculating the power, calculate the square root, and convert your entire vector on a logarithmic scale. And let us say you make it on the base to the log x to the base 10. Now you also know how to convert to the base 10. So it is a natural log. So to the base e plus, but please do it for the base 10 in your notebook. You have 30 seconds for this, guys.
Sir, in the assignment, do we need to paste the output as well, or just the code?
The entire code.
The entire code.
I mean, that I think the next, when we really do our statistical part on R, in that case, before that, I will teach you how to use R Markdown, because in R Markdown, it will be super easy for all of us. I will paste instructions of how to use R Markdown in the Google Classroom, because you need to install certain packages in order to convert it into a PDF, because then it looks very beautiful as well as easy for me to evaluate you guys. But as of now, please use the R script. Just copy paste, put it on a notepad, save it as .txt. Alternatively, go file, save R script, and you save it as .r and upload it. Okay.
Sir, by when we should submit this?
Just after the class. I will give you 5 minutes.
Sir, please, can you give some time? Actually?
No, why? I mean, I don't understand. Everyone is doing here in the class.
No, I am doing right now, but I couldn't join from 9 actually.
Yeah, you can write a comment there. I was late.
Okay.
In your code. Okay.
Just a question, sir, on this one. When we are performing these operations, mathematical operations on the vector, addition, subtraction.
Yeah.
I think original vector remains same. It will create a new vector, and maybe if you are defining a variable, the new vector will be assigned to that variable. But
exactly. The original one will remains the same, because you are not manipulating that. You are just adding x plus 1, and you are not saving. It's correct, Uma, what you said. Unless or until you are again overwriting x. So you can say x is equal to x plus 1. So it will overwrite the x.
Okay.
Uma, please mute yourself if the question is done because there is some noise. Okay, thank you. Okay, guys, let's move forward. We don't have much time. So I hope each of you have already done these basic operations. Now, you can also apply these logical operators. Now, for instance, you can ask if, you have two different operations, like you have two different variables, X and Y. You can, ask for different things. If Y is greater than X, X is greater than Y, it will basically gives you the results in true and false. The R basically gives you, so let us understand a little bit about, logical operations. Okay. Now, in order to do the logical operations, you really need to understand these signs, these different signs. Now, this you already understand. Y is greater than X. This is X is greater than Y. Please pay attention, guys, because some of these operations will really be confusing later on when we do the statistical analysis. Okay. Now, you can also use this. So what does this equal to sign along with the, less than? So X is less than or equal to Y. Now this is X is more than and equal to Y. Now, when sometimes you see, you basically put double 2 times equal to. Okay, so in that particular case, this is basically used most, in the logical operators. So in that particular case, you are basically asking whether is the value of X is indeed I am putting a, stress, is indeed equal to Y. So it's, you don't, when you put, single equal to sign, it means the value of X is equal to the value of Y. But when you put double equal to, then you are basically asking a logical operation, which means you are asking the R to really look for the value of X and look for the value of Y and tell me whether they are indeed equal or not. In that particular case, you put double equal to, and then you put an exclamatory mark and equal to. It means again the question you are asking for the logical operator, which means X is not equal to Y. Just 1 second. 1 second. Okay. Okay. So so I hope this one is, sorry for the confusion. I mean, there was a phone call, urgent phone call. So this equal to sign is a logical operator. We are asking the R whether these two values are equal or not. With the exclamatory sign and the equal to sign, it's again the asking the R whether they are not equal or not. So far and on. And then, you can look for this, this pipe, and then this sign basically says it is X or Y, and is basically X and Y. So let us see these all operators. Let us see how they are used in the real data. So now in R, logical operators are also vectorized. Now you have a vector X, which you can write a vector. So now you ask basically which of these individual values in your vector are more than 3. So you just say X more than 3. You just ask this logical operators, and it will basically returns you true and false. So all those values which are greater than 3, it will print it as true, otherwise it's false. Now you can ask the other way around, the same thing. What values in the vector X are lesser than 3? It again basically gives you the values which are basically, less than 3 as true, and then the other way around is false. Please keep on doing that, guys. I will not give extra time for that. Please, you listen, you understand the concept, and please do the hands-on. Okay, and don't use, I can tell you, please don't use the same examples on the screen. Otherwise, I will not appreciate that. So please use your own examples and apply your own logics. Am I right? So now you ask which of the values in X is equals to 3. In that particular case, whatever the matching value in the vector X is equal to 3, it basically pulls you true. Otherwise, all the values are false. Which of the values are not equal to 3? You are asking R, a question. So in that particular case, R returns you which are not equal to 3 as true. Otherwise, the value which is equal to 3 is false. Now, x is equal to 3 and x is not equal to 3. So you combine these two functions, am I right? So which value of x is equal to 3 and which value of x is not equal to 3? In that particular case, it basically returns basically false. Anybody in the class wants to explain me why everything is in false with this? Which I have selected. Please unmute yourself and tell me.
I think one is for equal and one is for unequal. So nothing will satisfy anything.
Exactly. So there are two conditions, and the conditions are set up in such a way so that nothing can be satisfied because we have an and operator inside. So on the one hand, we are saying it has to be equal to 3. On the other hand, we are saying it has not been equal to 3, and we put a and operator inside, which means nothing can be satisfied. In that particular case, we are basically getting all false. And this is the other way. So it can be or either this or this. It means everything can be satisfied. So that's why you have true in all the cases. Okay. Now, guys, I give you another 30 seconds to finish these operators in your script so that we move forward. Only 30 seconds, please. And please, again, I am repeating it, do it on your own vector. Don't take this exemplary vectors or something. I am assuming this is done. So let me move a little bit more forward, and let us see some other logics. Am I right? So now in this case, what we are basically doing now, we are applying the subset, because whenever this square bracket comes in R, it means subset. Am I right? Now it is what it is saying. It takes look into X and subset all those values of X which are greater than 3. So now you are applying the subsetting function as well as the logical operators simultaneously on a vector. So in that case, this is very small notion. As you can see, I can just zoom it out. So it means look into X, all those values of X which are greater than 3, and then basically print them. So once you do this operation, it looks for the values which are greater than 3 in X and return these values. So you can see over here very nicely. Similar is the case over here. So you are saying you are subsetting. So I mean, square brackets in R are always basically subsetting. Am I right? In that particular, and there is also one more use of square brackets. I will tell you later on when we move down. Okay. So now you are saying the values which are not equal to 3, please print them out of X. So that's, all the values, okay, which are except the value which was 3. Am I right? Now, you can also apply the sum function. Okay, you can say, please, I mean, now you are applying the arithmetic operations as well. You are saying, please sum all the values of X which are greater than 3. Am I right? Are you guys doing that? I am assuming you are basically doing it. Please do that. So guys, I mean, in the sum command, if you can see what it basically returns you. So the values which are bigger than 3, which is 5, 7, 8, 9, 8 and 9, it is not calculating the sum of these guys. What instead it is basically doing, it is basically counting all the true values, and it is saying there are 4 true values are there when you sum them up, because it assigns automatically the value 0 for the false and true 1. So there are 4 true values. That's why you get the sum which are greater than 3. 4 true will come and the sum is equal to 4. Now you can see that also as a numeric function, because this is very important, guys. As dot numeric x greater than 3, in that particular case you can see the vector basically returns you the false values as zeros and the true values as 1 1 1. I give you another 10 seconds to finish this up. If anybody is lagging behind, please raise your hand. I hope, okay, let's move forward. Now, you can also apply which functions. So which values are there which are basically greater than 3? Am I right? So in that particular case, you can see now here, it basically returns you 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, anybody can tell me what this which function is doing? Anybody in the class, please unmute.
Sir, it's
Returning
returning
the
the
index.
value greater than 3, greater than 3. In this
So
particular
what was your original this one? So this was, I mean, it should return 5, 7, 8, and 9. Now, if you see here, where it is 3, 4, 5, 6.
It is returning the index value, I mean the position values.
Exactly. It is basically returning the position values unless or until you designate X in front. So normally, if you just apply the operation on the vector with these logical operators, it always gives you the position values unless or until you provide them with the vector. In this vector, what are the values? Then in that case, it gives you the real values. Guys, can you understand the difference? Have you understood the difference? Why when we use only which, then it basically gives you the position. When we put basically the the vector name in front and then ask which values are more than 3 in X and in X, then it basically gives you basically the real values in the X. Now again, it goes to the applies to all the other operations. You can look for the max. Max of X is the 9th value. And you can also basically mix this operation if X is equal to max, the maximum in X value, and then basically it gives you the operation, the output as the sixth number. It is the 6th value in your vector. Is it clear, guys? Anybody has any doubt? Please ask me. I'm just zooming it out. Anybody has any doubt in this? Please raise your hand. Don't shy. Any doubt, guys? Cool. If there are no doubts, let's move a little bit more forward. Now, I mean, let us go for this more vectorization. Am I right? So now let us say you have two different vectors and you have created by two different means. I mean, first you use the combine function, then you have used this colon. Am I right? Now you are adding value to this, you have already seen. So you add 2 in each of your values of X. You can say X plus 2. It has added the value to. Now you can make it, more complex, the overall scenario. So you can say X plus, you are repeating 2 and 6. Am I right? So now I just want to, so here you are using the, operation, which is basically logical operation. You are adding, but instead of adding an integer, in this time, what you are basically adding is basically a small vector. Am I right? So in that particular case, can you basically explain, anyone in the class, why the output is like this?
Sir, because it is adding two vectors, so X is already defined, and one vector we are defining in which 2 will be 6 times. So basically, it would be a vector of 6 values, and each of them would be 2. So both the vectors are being added. So 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 2 is 5, 5 plus 3 is 7, and so on.
So on, exactly. Great. Now you can also, again, I mean, it's the old thing. So you can basically ask the logical operations, which values are greater than 3. Again, you can also merge these two things. You can basically apply more complex functions. So these things I will give it to you in output. I mean, as a PDF, I will attach. Just please practice all of them. I don't want to go, step by step. And I already told you about length. Length basically gives you what is the length of your entire vector. So I will give you all of these to practice about this vectorization operations. Now let us start with the matrix. Am I right? So R can also be used for matrix calculations. So a typical matrix, I mean, normally our data, what we normally have, a typical matrix has rows and columns containing a single data type. Either it can basically contains all the characters, it can contains all the logical operators, all the numerical values, and so far and so on. In a matrix, the rows and columns is important. And it is very different from the data frame. We will see how normally whenever we do any calculations in R, the first thing is we basically convert our imported matrix into a data frame, and there is a reason for that. We will talk about it. Now a matrix is basically important because it somehow, I mean, according to my experience, whenever you have only a single type of data, I mean, sometimes we get in numerical values, like, as I give you an example, we have scores from the last 10 years. The scores are normally either integers, non-integers, and all that. So in that particular case, I know there is no logical operations involved. There is nothing, characters are there in the matrix. So I just treat it as a matrix and do my downstream analysis. But normally when we get some data, the real data, that data has a lot of other, value characters as well within the data. So in that particular case, we need to convert it into a data frame. We will discuss about it. But now let us start quickly with the matrix. Am I right? So now a matrix, as I said, it's a two-dimensional thingy, and in that particular case you have rows and columns. Now vectors can be made very easily. We have discussed that x is equal to 1 to 9, and it creates a vector 1 to 9. Am I right? Now in order to make a matrix, you can use the inbuilt function called matrix. In that particular case, you need to define what is basically x and then you have to tell how many rows and how many columns you basically need. Now what we have done here, we have converted a vector. If you can see nicely here, we have converted a vector into a matrix because here is the x we defined. So we have 9 values in a vector, and I have converted this entire vector into a matrix, which means with the 3 rows and 3 columns. Am I right? So this can be done very nicely. We have an inbuilt function in R matrix. You define the vector which you need to convert, and then you assign how many rows you want and how many columns you want. And in that case, you can just write capital, because you saved it as a capital X, you can just mention capital X. In that case, it basically prints you the entire matrix. Now, if you can look very closely in this case, so you can recognize that. So, I mean, there is, in this round bracket, you have this comma. So the first, in front of the comma, it always comes the rows, and after that, it comes the columns. So this is a designation of column 1, column 2, and column 3, and this is for the row 1, row 2, and row 3. That is also important because sometimes you need to subset a matrix, and I basically give you a matrix and I will say I want to subset the 7th row in this matrix. So in that particular case, when it talks about rows, in that case you need to use this. Instead of 3, you need to put 7 and save it as a different variable. In that's how you can basically also subset. So you really need to understand, if some of you don't know, how to basically call whether it's a row or it is a column. So you need to use these round brackets, and in these round brackets you basically need to define the row number and the column number. Now one thing you have easily recognized, that the R indeed makes a distinction between a small x and a capital X. Am I right? Because the small x we used, I mean, you can use any value, you can use a small y, but the small letter basically cannot oversees the capital letter, so it always makes basically the distinctions between the two things. Am I right? So R is case sensitive. So if some of you are basically wrongly using the case, uppercase and the lowercase, please make sure the R is very sensitive to both of these, and it will not work. Okay. Now, what we can basically do in this particular code. So by default, I hope you have done that. If you guys have done that, please raise your hand so that I can move forward. Or you need another 10 seconds. Okay, I give you another 20 seconds, guys, in case some of you have not done that. Please take another 20 seconds to finish this off. Please create a vector, create a matrix out of it, and yeah. And print the matrix. We will also use operations on matrix now, subsequently. Cool. I think it is done. So let us move a little bit more forward. So now, guys, you can see over here. So by default, the matrix function reorders a vector into columns.
A question, sir. I was just, writing the code and trying to run it. So define a variable x1 column 9. Then I was trying to create a matrix. I was getting an error that, data length is not a submultiple or multiples of
yes
the row.
Because you need to so the vector, so the matrix command is basically taking your vector as an input and converting into matrix. Now the number of rows and the number of columns which you are defining, the multiplication of them should be equal to the length of your vector. If that is not the case, it will give you the problem of the vector length. For instance, you have number of rows 3, you have number of columns 3 multiplied by 3, 9. So your vector x should be at least having 9 values. So otherwise you will get this length error. Uma, this is the problem. Uma, you are muted.
Yes, indeed, I was muted. Sorry. So
Yeah.
if you can go a little bit up.
I can definitely go a little bit up here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, here. Straightly, when I'm trying to, x is equal to 1 column 9, and then I'm creating capital X matrix with, giving x, small x as a parameter, and row is equal to 3, and column is equal to 3. It is showing that error. But when I try with the x equal to 1 column 10, it is working. So,
let me quickly check. I think if you got this problem, others might also got this problem.
You
Wait.
may not have run the x equals 1 to 9 command.
Command.
That
No,
way-
but he is saying he has run that. So let me quickly try. I mean, okay. Let me quickly try that.
I can share my screen if it helps to save some time.
No. I'm just reproducing your. I'm just reproducing your error on my computer. Wait, if required, we will basically do that. And no, I got it. I have got no error at all. Okay, please share your screen, Uma.
Okay, I got it. I think what mistake I was making.
So can I guess?
Actually, I defined a variable x3, 1 column 9, and then matrix capital X3, but then it was passing x instead of x3.
Okay, yeah. So you took a wrong x, which was from the past.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. That was, I was also guessing that. Okay, no problem. We solved that. That is important. Anyways, so let us go back quickly. So guys, I leave you guys in 3 minutes because do you have another class after this, or I can extend my class today somehow? I mean, do you guys have? Sorry.
We have a class.
Oh, okay. Okay, not a problem. Okay, we will anyways continue. So guys, I mean, now by default the metric function reorders a vector into a column. But you can also tell R to you don't use column, use as rows. So then you have to use this by rows. It's very widely used, guys. Please, this part which I am covering today, it's very important because once I give you the real data, you need to do manipulations in your data. Without this, knowing how to subset it, how to basically perform operations on that, you cannot achieve that. So in your real, statistical assignments, it will be very difficult. So please pay attention. So by default, the matrix command takes into, the column. So it aligns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But you can also say to the R, don't use by columns, please go by rows. So you can say by rows is equal to true, which is by default false. So in that case, it will basically put like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 into rows rather than the columns. Okay. Now we can also create a matrix of a specified dimension where every element is the same, in this case 0. Okay, so it is like z is equal to matrix, the value is 0, we have two rows and 4 columns, rows and columns. So in that case, the z is basically is a matrix which has the 0 value across 2 rows and 4 columns. You can also please create that very fast. Okay, like vectors, matrix can be subset using the square brackets. However, since matrix has 2 dimensions, so in that particular case you need to specify both the rows and the columns, which column and the which parts you basically need to subset. For instance, if this is my matrix capital X, and if I am writing X, instead of, if I would have put 1, it will give me an error because I don't have a vector, I have a matrix. It's now 2-dimensional. If it could be 1 dimension, the 1 would have basically returned me the first value in my vector. But in that particular case, in the case of the matrix, I need to specify both rows and columns. So I am just saying first row and second column. So this is the first row and my second column. So it will return me the value of 4 in the capital X, which is a matrix. Okay. Here we access the element in the first row and the second column, which is basically the 4. Now, sometimes you need to get the entire row array, entire column. In that case, you leave that part empty. For instance, the capital X, which is your matrix, the square brackets, and you are saying first row and you don't specify the column. It just take out the whole row in your entire matrix. For instance, you have a very huge matrix and you need to extract 1 column from that matrix. You can basically do that, and let us say that column is the second column. You can write the matrix, you can just say you put row as 0, you say second column, it will basically gives you the entire column as a vector. Okay, so that this thing is really important, guys. I mean, it is just a small example of a matrix, but with the real data, sometimes we really need to remove some columns from my matrix. I need to take some matrix out, and after taking that matrix out, I need to calculate some sort of operations like correlation with a third matrix, and all these, manipulation of the data we need to do. And this is really important, how to subset it, how to basically, apply operations on that in using R. So now you have learned that we can also use vectors to subset more than 1 rows and columns at a time. So, here we subset to the first and the third column. I mean, you can do multiple operations. It's very easy. Once you know the square brackets are for the subset, and you need to define both rows and columns in the matrix and only one single value in the position value in the vectors, you can do it very fast. You can manipulate your data very easily. Now, let us see this example. So what this example basically, so now we have used the combine function also here. So now what it is basically doing, it is taking X, it is doing the subset, and it is basically the second row. Am I right? It is taking the second row, and then, the columns here, it is basically, the first one is for the rows and second one is the column, and it is basically taking the first and the third value together. It gives you 2 and 8. So you can also incorporate the combine function in case you want multiple columns out of it. So that you can do it.
Sir, please explain this one again.
Which one? For instance, what was your matrix? So let me go zoom out a little bit. So this is my capital X matrix. So now what I have told you, to take a single value, you can do it very nicely. You can, for this, you can say, square bracket 1, 2, it will return 4, square bracket 2, 2, it will return 5, square bracket 3, 3, it will return 9. Okay, I'm putting my cursor on. So that is how to extract a single value out of a matrix. Now, we have also learned how to get the whole rows and a whole columns. You can say capital X, square bracket, and then you say 1, nothing. It basically gives you the first row, and for the columns you can say nothing, 2, it will give you the second column. So you can set columns as well. Now in this particular case, what I basically want is, I don't want 1 column, but I want at a time 2 particular values or 2 columns. Am I right? So you can use combine function. So C is very widely used. I have told you how to install multiple packages by combine, how to import multiple libraries by combine, and you can also do multiple operations by combine. In that case, what we are getting is, we are looking into the matrix X, and we are going into the second row, and in the second row, I am interested in the column number first and the column number 3. Okay, so now in the second row I am interested in the column number 1 and the column number 3. So this is basically 2 and this is 8. So the R basically return me 2 and 8. Is it clear, Naman?
Yes, sir. Clear. Thank you.
Great. Anybody has any doubt? I hope you are doing. So that's the last thing, guys. I think we don't have time. So let me quickly go. So metrics, you guys can do all these operations. You create 2 metrics, you multiply the metrics, the matrix dimension needs to be same. You can divide 2 metrics, everything you can do. Am I right? With the metrics, for instance, you have a vector, you have a matrix, you can also basically, perform operations between them. And, you can calculate the diagonal of the matrix. You can ask for operations. We will cover that. Don't worry. I'm just taking you can calculate the dimensions of the matrix. For instance, you have a very huge matrix and you want to know its dimensions, so you can use the dim command. You can also compute the other functions. We will see row means row. You can apply all these functions by using the matrix. Okay, now you can do the calculations in vectors and metrics, so that we will also cover in the next class. And I think this part is very important, and after that I am not teaching you more of R. I will stop it there and I will start with statistics. So I need another 1 class for the basics of R, and after that we jump to the statistics by using R. So I can also quickly go down. Yeah, we will calculate this power. We will only do practicals mostly, but I think in the next class I would like to take 1 theory class, otherwise you will not understand. Okay, thank you guys. Any other question, please offline drop me a message on the Google Classroom. I will take care of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.